Welcome to the REAPER channel, where we bring you bone-chilling true stories from around the world. From haunted houses to unexplained disappearances, we have it all. So, turn off the lights, grab a blanket, and get ready for a scare. It was the summer of our sophomore year in college, when my friends and I decided to embark on a camping trip. There were 5 of us: Mike, Sarah, John, Emily, and myself. We had grown incredibly close during our time studying at the university, bonding over late-night study sessions and our shared love for the outdoors. Mike, the oldest among us at 21, was an environmental science major with a knack for discovering hidden gems in nature. He came up with a suggestion of exploring a remote forest he had heard about somewhere. We were all excited about the idea of escaping the hustle and bustle of college life for a weekend, eager to create memories that would last a lifetime. We planned our trip meticulously, gathering all necessary gear and supplies, and set off on our adventure. As we drove deeper into the heart of the forest, the roads became increasingly narrow, and the foliage grew thicker. The isolation and mystery surrounding the area only heightened our anticipation for the weekend ahead. Upon arrival at our destination, we were immediately struck by the serene beauty of the landscape. Towering trees surrounded us, their branches forming a canopy overhead that filtered the sunlight, casting a soft, dappled glow on the forest floor. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scents of earth and pine. In this idyllic setting, we would soon discover something that would forever change our lives and challenge the boundaries of our understanding. As we set up our campsite near a small clearing, John and Emily wandered off to gather firewood. It wasn't long before they returned, their faces mixed of excitement and disbelief. "Guys, you won't believe what we found," John exclaimed, his voice slightly shaky. "There's an abandoned cabin just a short walk from here." Intrigued, we decided to take a break from setting up camp and followed John and Emily to the mysterious cabin. As we made our way through the dense forest, the atmosphere began to change. An eerie silence fell upon us, as if the very trees were holding their breath in anticipation. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as we approached the cabin, a feeling of unease settling in my stomach. The cabin appeared to be decades old, its wooden exterior weathered and covered in moss. The windows were shattered, and the door hung crookedly on its hinges. Despite the cabin's dilapidated state, there was something inexplicably unsettling about it. Even the air seemed to grow colder as we drew closer. Though our instincts screamed at us to leave, our curiosity got the better of us. We hesitantly ventured inside, our footsteps echoing in the empty space. The interior was just as neglected as the exterior, with cobwebs adorning every corner and a layer of dust covering the sparse, rickety furniture. "It's creepy, but kind of cool, right?" Mike said, trying to lighten the mood. "Why don't we spend the night here? It'll be more exciting than camping outside." We exchanged hesitant glances, an uneasy feeling still lingering. But ultimately, the prospect of a thrilling adventure outweighed our fears. As night fell, the cabin's eerie atmosphere seemed to grow even more oppressive. We tried to distract ourselves with laughter and stories, but the sense of unease was impossible to ignore. It began with strange noises that echoed throughout the cabin. Faint whispers that seemed to come from just behind our ears, and footsteps that sounded like they were pacing just outside the door. We tried to dismiss these sounds as the wind or animals, but deep down, I knew something was off. I was sitting near the window when I first noticed a cup on the table slowly sliding across the surface, coming to a stop as if an invisible hand had grabbed it. We stared at each other in disbelief, our hearts pounding in our chests. Cold spots began to form around us, and we could see our breath in the air, despite it being a warm summer night. As the night wore on, the encounters grew increasingly intense. Shadowy figures appeared in the corners of the cabin, always vanishing when we tried to get a closer look. The air was thick with tension and fear as we realized we were not alone. I'll never forget the moment I saw her. A ghostly apparition of a young girl standing by the fireplace. Her eyes were hollow, filled with sadness, and she seemed to be reaching out to us as if pleading for help, but she vanished after I tried to look closely. After a few moments of staring at each other, we heard disembodied voices, whispers that sounded like fragments of conversations, and cries that sent shivers down our spines. The spirits seemed trying to communicate with us, though we couldn't understand what they were saying. It was as if they were trapped in the cabin, desperate for someone to hear their story. But the muffled voices, the ghostly cries, and the dreadful feelings were too much for us to bear. We knew we had to leave, no matter what the consequences might be. The terrifying encounters and the overwhelming fear of danger finally pushed us to our breaking point. We couldn't stay in the cabin a moment longer. In a state of near panic, we quickly gathered our belongings, the muffled voices and ghostly cries echoing in our ears as we scrambled to leave. Our hearts raced and our hands shook as we navigated through the dark forest, guided only by the faint light of our flashlights. The forest seemed to come alive with paranormal phenomena as we tried to make our escape. Shadows darted between the trees, and disembodied whispers filled the air, making it difficult to concentrate on finding our way out. The terrain itself seemed to work against us as we stumbled over roots and rocks hidden in the darkness, our fear increasing with every step. As we continued our panicked escape, one of my friends tripped on an unseen obstacle, falling hard and injuring her ankle. We knew we couldn't leave her behind, so we worked together to support her as we continued to flee the haunted cabin. The spirits seemed to sense our desperation, their cries growing louder and more intense as we struggled through the treacherous landscape. As we put more and more distance between ourselves and the haunted cabin, our panic gradually subsided, replaced by relief and triumph. We had faced unimaginable horrors, but through perseverance and determination, we managed to escape the clutches of the paranormal forces that had threatened to consume us. As we caught our breath, exhausted, injured, and forever scarred by our experience, we vowed never to return to that dreadful place. The chilling memories of the muffled voices, shadowy figures, and haunting visions would stay with us forever, a haunting reminder of the terrifying night we spent in the heart of darkness.
We hope you enjoyed our spine-tingling stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the La Grim Reaper channel to stay updated on our latest uploads. Until next time, sweet dreams, if you can sleep at all.